Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to my studio. This is Paint with Lovejoy. Thanks so much for joining me. If this is your first time here, please subscribe to the channel and check out the other videos. And if you're here for a second, third, or fourth time, thank you so much for coming back and getting creative. Alright guys, it's going to be another fun flower painting today. So grab your supplies, transfer your traceable to your surface, and as always, make sure you take your progress photos. Now on my traceable, I did go over it with a black Sharpie marker, and that's for those of you at home that are going to pause the video and draw what you see. If you're utilizing the traceable, you do not have to go over it with the black outline. Now for the background, we're actually going to be doing mixtures of yellow and green. So you can see here I'm demonstrating a few different brush strokes that you can try, and then we're basically going to be slapping a bunch of colors on there. So I really want you to have fun with getting kind of experimental with the colors and what yellow and green will mix like, with just slapping some of the colors in different areas, and then we'll move our brush on top of it to do some blending. If you are inclined to finger paint, I highly recommend you grabbing some extra napkins and doing that because it is really fun and tactile just to kind of really get in there and play with the paint. All right, and now you can see where we're slapping some of that green. We're going to slap some of that yellow on there. If you feel like introducing other colors, go right ahead. And sometimes it's really just fun to kind of put these random colors on there. And then now we're going to go back in and kind of blend those with the brush and move them around on the canvas. So just going back in, kind of keeping conscious of, the perimeter of our flower, but try holding the brush in different angles. Try, these short choppy brush strokes. Try using the edge of the brush, but the background's a great place to really just kind of try different things and see how it works, see what you like, see what you don't like. In the beginning stages of painting, that is a big part of the painting process, is trying different things and finding what works for you, and maybe places where you struggle a little bit more and maybe need a little more instruction. And that changes throughout the course of you painting pretty much anything. You're going to keep refining what you like and don't like and pushing your comfort level. So here I actually got a little bit of the background on top of the flower, and because this is going to be a light colored pink flower, I am removing it with a little water on a clean brush and pulling that color out, so that way I don't have to worry about mixing it in when I add the flower color. So you guys are doing a great job. Remember to breathe and relax. We're going to grab some green and yellow, basically kind of do the same thing. We're going to slap some more of that color on there. We're going to go a little bit darker in some areas. Kind of the second layer makes it a little bit thicker. And then we're also kind of playing with our blending. This is called wet on wet blending. When you introduce a new wet color on top of the base wet color, and then you move your brush back and forth or use your fingers or another tool to kind of mix that into the base color. This is one of the more therapeutic and relaxing aspects of the painting process. And you can do the same thing. You can throw some yellow. We're going to throw some white on there in a minute. Trust your instincts, anything that you may be inclined to do. And as I was doing this one, I was thinking that the left-hand side would be a little bit lighter, and that's why I'm concentrating a bit more of the white on there and then mixing that into the base, with the right-hand side of the canvas being darker with more of the green. Again, your call how much or how little of each of these colors you put on your painting. When you are done with your background, pause the video, take your progress photo, and you can let your background dry, or you can move right into making your light pink for your flower color. And we're going to take it one petal at a time, and we're going to repeat the process on every single petal. So here we have a light pink, a really light pink, and you notice that a tiny, tiny, tiny amount of red pigment goes a long way to make the light pink. And as I apply this, I am going right over those traceable lines. And then once we get that base light pink in there, we're going to go in with a medium pink and do some shadow, some shading, and then we'll use some white to make some highlights. So here, and sometimes I like switching brushes. So here you can see I switched down to the small pointy brush, going for a bit of a medium pink, and we're going to be placing it in a few specific areas, and then I'm going to wipe that brush off and then go back and blend it into the base. So with this painting, you're going to get a lot of practice and hopefully increase your comfort level with what we call wet on wet blending. And like I said, we're going to repeat this for each petal on this flower. Now, if you need to, I only do it on this one where I grab it a bit more of the direct red, but same concept. I'm going to place it in a few areas and then blend it into the base. For this video, when I move into the other petals, I don't do the red. I just kind of stick with more of the medium pink. Um, and now we're going to do the opposite, clean that brush. We're going to slap some of that white on there, and again in specific places. And if you need to, wipe that brush off and then you kind of blend it into that base light pink. And we are doing all of this while the paint is wet. That is the only way you can do wet on wet blending. So after you do your first petal, it is a good place to pause the video, take your progress photo, and then like I said, we're going to repeat this same process for each petal. Now I went back and grabbed the brush I was using earlier, that medium flat brush, and that light pink mixture. And if you have to mix your colors, your light pink and your medium pink, a couple of times throughout this video, throughout this painting, um, totally okay. And especially if you have a little varying shades, if maybe it's a little lighter or darker than the last time, just embrace that. That's okay. The more you mix your paint and get comfortable with the process, the easier and more natural the process will become. So here you can see I applied that medium pink with the small pointy brush and then going back and just kind of wiping off that excess paint and then blending the darker into it. Same thing as we move into the white. Remember to breathe. You're doing great. We're going back to that light pink, moving right along, going counterclockwise along the flower as we do each petal. Now I am using student grade paint, and generally with student grade paint, I recommend that you apply it a little bit thicker than you may be comfortable with because that is going to help your blending. And it also increases a little bit of the dry time. So you get a little longer working period um, with the acrylic paint when you apply it a little bit thicker. In general, acrylic paint generally dries in about 10 to 20 minutes, depending on your brand and the thickness that you apply it. And if you're painting inside or outside. If you're painting outside, it's going to shorten your dry time, so it'll dry a little bit quicker. All right, so again, using that medium flat brush, our medium pink, placing this in a few specific areas, then wiping the brush off and going back and blending. Now, as you are following along with this video, or really any video or anything creative, you are strengthening your power of observation. You're seeing where I apply the darker pink and how I'm kind of mixing it into the base. You're noticing where certain things are. And strengthening the power of observation is a huge art skill. And it's also kind of a huge life skill. The more observant you become in art, you'll notice the more observant you become in your everyday life. And that's really all artists are doing is they're observing something and kind of creating their interpretation of their observation. And that's why painting is not about being perfect, but it's about you getting more comfortable with your process. If you find the stress relieving benefits of painting, it's, maybe it's about that for you. So you're balancing out your daily life and maybe some of your stresses. As you get more and more photorealistic in your painting style, you're going to be strengthening that power of observation immensely. Photorealism is all about observing transitions of colors, shapes, things that you're noticing about what you are painting. So again, moving along petal by petal, moving into that medium pink, applying it in a few specific places, and then wiping that brush off and blending it in. You can switch out colors if you want to do a purple calla lily or even a white. You can switch it out with your shades of purple. You can switch it out with shades of gray, anything you want. I do have another video with this exact same traceable and switching out with kind of crazy unexpected colors. So feel free to check that out if you need a little inspiration to do some unnatural colors. All right, we've just got 2 petals left. You guys are doing a great job. I hope you are enjoying the process and realizing how much you need painting in your life and how much you enjoy it. This is the only way to figure out what you like is with practice and by trying new things. And by trying new things, you are stepping out of your comfort zone, and that is very, very healthy, especially in the creative realms. The only way that you can evolve and grow is by pushing your comfort zone and trying new things. All right, so adding the white, and I do realize it is a super light pink that I'm using, so sometimes the white might not be as obvious where I'm placing it. If yours is a little bit darker, when you put your white on yours, it'll show up a little bit more than it does on mine on the video. All right, coming along nicely. We're getting that last petal done. Then we will add a stem for the flower, so it has the connection to where it's growing from. And then we'll be using some of the direct red for the interior, the stamen on this flower, as well as doing it for the black outline. So you're getting just great practice with a lot of core basic painting skills today. All right, when you are done completely with your petals, take another progress photo. I do recommend letting this fully dry so that way this next couple of applications can be applied a little bit easier. So going back to that light pink, we're going to kind of put the stamen on, and again, you're strengthening your power of observation for where we're applying this, because again, with the light color, it's a little bit harder to see, so I apologize about that. So feel free to pause the video at any point so you can observe what you are looking at with a little more detail. We are mimicking that traceable a little bit, so you can kind of focus on that traceable. And now we're grabbing that direct red for the end of the stamen. I completely forgot what these are called on the flowers, but this is what the bees come and get all the pollen from, and this is what helps pollinate with the other flowers. And these are almost like little lima bean, little dash marks on the end of these structures. We'll do a little bit more with the outlining with the black paint. But you guys are doing a great job. Like I said, I'm proud of you for just being courageous enough to paint at home and push yourself out of your comfort zone. All right, coming up for another place to pause the video and take your progress photo. Again, let this dry. And we're going to go back to the green paint and we're going to add a little bit of black. So we're going for a dark green, and this is going to be for the stem of our plant, for our flower. And again, I'm using that medium flat brush, and I'm using a bit of pressure so that way this is a wider brush stroke. And as you're working with any brushes, light pressure gives you a smaller contact to the canvas, a smaller brush stroke. More pressure is going to create a wider brush stroke. And as you get more and more into painting, you will play with that concept a little bit more. So now we're going to, still using the same brush, we're going to put some white on the top and left-hand side of the stem. Again, this just gives a little bit of contouring, a little bit of a highlight, and some volume on this flat surface that you're painting on. And once I put the white on there, just like with the petals in the background, used a little bit of pressure and squished that white into the base color. You guys are doing a great job. Take your progress photo, and then we're going to move into the final step of the outlines with the small pointy brush and black paint. And you can add a little bit of water to your black paint. That will help elongate the fluidity, make your paint a little bit more fluid. You never want your brush dripping wet with water. And this part is completely optional. If you like your flower as is, you do not have to do the outline. If you just want to do a few outlines, you can do that. You can do it not at all. Your call at this point. As you are working on your outlines, if you are finding that your brush is shaky, that means you are holding your breath. So I recommend exhaling as you touch the brush to the canvas, and that will help with your process. And if you're a beginner painter and you have varying widths of lines, maybe you have some skinny lines, maybe you have some wider lines, just embrace that. That is where you are at for today. The next time that you go to paint and do lines like this, your muscles are going to remember this and go, oh yeah, I remember how to be light pressure, or I know that I'm resting my forearm against the edge of the table. And the next time you do it, it'll be a little bit easier. And that's pretty much the basis of painting. You have to practice to get more comfortable and to get better with the process. All right, and these flowers do have those little dots kind of as it's going towards the center, so I'm going to do that on each one of the petals. You can add as few or as many dots as you want. You can even go back to the red if you want to make a more of a red color compared to the black. Anything you feel like doing to your flower. Again, thank you guys so much for getting creative and taking time out of your day to paint with me. I'm honored that you are watching the video and getting creative. And please keep finding regular painting outlets for yourself. Until next time, cheers.
Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the process of painting and I hope you are happy with how your paintings turned out. I'm really proud of you for getting creative. As you're uploading these to social media, please tag me at or hashtag paintwithlovejoy or email me your pictures paintwithlovejoy@gmail.com. I really enjoy seeing them. I try to post them on social media to encourage other beginner painters to try the process of painting. But please share this with your community as well. Anybody who is kind of scared to paint, share your experience with them and let them know kind of how much you benefited from it and how much you enjoyed the process. So kind of share the fun. With that being said, if you have any comments, questions, feedback, things that you want me to paint in the future, please leave a comment. I try to respond to everybody as quickly as I can. And any of the future suggestions for paintings, I add that to my production list and get to them as quickly as I can. So in the meantime, please keep getting creative. Let me know how you're doing. And until next time, cheers.